Beneath Cameroon's sun-baked banks, men dive into murky river water without gear, sometimes 300 times a day, to scoop the sand that builds our cities. Every bucket risks crushing currents, hidden logs, or deadly infections. Yet without this hidden army of breath-holding divers, the concrete that holds up our homes and schools would vanish. In this video, you'll meet the people who do this work, see how it changes their lives, and learn why rivers are running dry under our feet. Sand is all around us. It's in roads, bridges, homes, and hospitals. Builders mix sand with cement and water to make concrete. Each year people use more than 50 billion tons of sand worldwide, more than 3 times as much as Earth's rivers can make naturally. Some of the richest sources lie in riverbeds across West Africa, where men climb into small canoes and dive again and again, scooping sand by hand. In southwestern Cameroon, the river runs slow and wide. The water is brown and cloudy. On its banks, rough wooden boats wait. Each holds 2 divers and a pile of empty buckets. By dawn, the boats are loaded with men eager to work. There are no masks or tanks, no wetsuits or air hoses, just shorts and hope. One of these divers is Yona Elvis. He is 30 years old and has been diving since he was 18. He learned from his father and uncles who fished here. But fishing did not pay much. When big ships came to take sand, the pay looked better. Now Elvis spends up to 4 hours a day in the water, diving and scooping. By the end of each shift, he may bring up 9 tons of wet sand, more weight than 2 adult elephants. Elvis lives in a small village under tall palms. His home is built from wood and the same sand he digs up. He shares it with his wife, 2 small children, and a pet monkey named Curtis. Each morning he packs a small bag, a towel, a bit of soap, a plastic bottle of water. Then he hitches a ride on a motorbike taxi to the river's edge. He climbs into the canoe, pats his partner's shoulder, and pushes off. His partner, Jumbi, guides the boat. They know these waters well. The boat drifts to the deepest spot. Mumi sticks a long wooden pole into the muddy bottom to hold the boat steady. Then Elvis straps the rope around his waist. He holds onto the boat for a moment, takes a deep breath, and slips into the murk. Underwater, he cannot see more than a meter ahead. The water is thick with mud. He feels for sand with his hands. He scoops it into a steel bucket tied to his belt. When it is full, he hauls himself up and tips the sand into the boat. He does this again and again. In one dive, he may clear 10 buckets. At 9 dives a minute, that could be nearly 300 dives. He races the clock. Each dive takes seconds. He must beat his last time or he falls behind. The boat drifts. The sun climbs. The day heats up. Between dives, he wipes sweat from his eyes and listens to the river lap at wood. He knows the water hides logs that can knock him out. He knows the mud can trap his leg. He knows each breath may be his last if he pushes too hard. Yet he dives, because the river is his only work. Because his learnings from family taught him to hold his breath. Because the sand pays more than the nets. In this part of the world, sand means money. Builders come from towns and cities, ready to buy every bucket. The boss counts out coins. Elvis and Jumbi split their pay at the end of the day. About $122 per man. Barely enough to feed a wife and 2 children. Back on shore, the buckets are carried to waiting trucks. Mounds of sand grow high. Contractors will use it to make blocks and pump concrete. The river will shrink. The banks will crumble. Fishermen notice fewer prawns, fewer fish. They ask divers to leave more sand on the riverbed, but builders demand their share. Everyone thinks the river has endless riches. What if it does not? Already satellite images show riverbeds in other countries stripped bare. In China, deep dredging leaves giant lakes where rivers once ran. In Cambodia, riverbanks collapse under heavy loads. In India, illegal pits swallow entire villages. And here in Cameroon, the same story repeats. Soon this river might run dry, or its flow might change so much that crops fail and people thirst. Yet demand keeps rising. New houses and roads need more sand. Without divers like Elvis and Jumbi, the world's builders would have to stop. So they keep diving, risking their bodies, their health, and even their lives so that our cities can stand. Elvis reaches down and scoops up more sand. He feels the mud swirl around his fingers. He can't see, but he knows where to dig. Each scoop is heavy. Each dive is longer. The deeper he goes, the more sand he gains. But the river floor is uneven. Some spots are soft, some hard. He must feel carefully to find the best sand. Sometimes he hits a log. The log can trap his bucket or scratch his legs. Other times he finds sharp stones that cut his skin. He wipes the blood away and keeps diving. He does not want to slow down. Every extra dive means more pay. Every second counts. Elvis works with no mask. The water can carry bacteria. He wipes his eyes with dirty hands. He swallows river water by accident. Later, he may cough and fever. He knows the risks. He has scars on his legs and arms. He has seen divers come up too weak to dive again. He has seen them faint. He has heard of divers who never surfaced. After 2 hours, his lungs burn. He surfaces, coughing and gasping. He swings his legs over the boat and sits. Jumbie hands him a cloth. Elvis wipes his face. He checks the sand in the bucket. It is clean and fine. He smiles. He knows the sand is worth more than gold here. They take a short break. They share a small meal. They eat fried fish and boiled yams. They drink water from plastic bottles. They laugh and talk about fishing on Sunday. They plan their next harvest. They know that tomorrow will be the same. They push off again. They return to the deep spot. Elvis straps in and dives. He feels the cool water on his skin. He holds his breath. He counts in his head. 1, 2, 3. He pushes his body to the limit. He scoops again. Meanwhile, in another boat, a diver named K-Sim prepares. He wears a strap around his ankle. He has a small timer clipped to his shorts. He is a young man who loves the challenge. He races Elvis underwater. He wants to be the fastest diver in the river. He has an entire team watching him. They cheer when he surfaces fast. K-Sim trains each morning. He runs 5 kilometers. He does push-ups and sit-ups. He practices holding his breath for 2 minutes on land. He has a small family to feed, but he also craves the thrill. He wants to win tournaments. Some villages hold sand diving contests. They time each diver and give a small prize. K-Sim won last year. He still shows off the medal. Back in the boat, Elvis sees a fish jump upstream. He misses the days when he fished all day. Now he dives. He misses the riverbank forests where birds sang. Now he hears the motor of the truck that waits for sand. The truck arrives at noon. It has big tires that crush the soft riverbank. Builders shake sand into barrels and weigh them. Each barrel holds 50 kilos. The contractor pays for each barrel. He loads them into the truck. The driver grumbles about dusty roads. He will drive this sand to the city. In the city, men mix the sand with cement and water. They pour it into wooden frames. They build walls and floors. They lay bricks. They raise houses. They build schools for children like Elvis's. They build hospitals where he can go if he falls ill. Everyone uses this sand. But as sand leaves the riverbed lowers. The current grows faster. The banks collapse. Trees fall into the water. Homes near the bank begin to crack. Fishermen have fewer prawns to sell. Their nets return empty. In another country, like Cambodia, the story repeats. Barges dig sand in the riverbanks break, people lose their land. In India, small villages sink after sand is taken. Rural farmers watch their fields dry. Engineers say we can make sand. They crush rocks and old concrete. They call it manufactured sand. It may help, but it costs more. It needs power and machines. It can pollute water and soil near the plant. So far, most builders still choose river sand. It is free, easy, and strong. They want perfect grains that glue well with cement, not crushed bits that might crumble. Elvis and his partners keep diving. They have no choice. The world wants more sand, but the river can only give so much. If they push too hard, the river may not recover. If the river dies, their work dies too. After 4 hours, Elvis's body trembles. His legs shake, his back aches, his arms burn. He drags himself into the boat for the last time. His partner hauls in the final bucket of the day. They load the sand onto the truck. Elvis wipes his face. He looks at the sun dipping toward the horizon. He thinks of home. He thinks of his children waiting for his return. He hopes they will have food. He hopes they will have water. He hopes they will have a safe house built with this very sand. Tonight, he will rest. Tomorrow, he will dive again. The river will flow. The builders will call. The people will need homes. The boom will continue, at least until the river runs dry. As night falls, the truck rumbles back toward town. Elvis climbs behind the wheel and waves goodbye. The river at sunset is quiet, but tomorrow it will be as busy as ever. Back in town, the sand is unloaded at a big yard. Piles of golden grains rise like small hills. Builders come and scoop the sand into wheelbarrows. They wheel it to little shops where they sell it by the bucket. The price goes up and down with demand. After the rainy season, sand is cheap. In dry months, it can cost twice as much. Elvis walks home along dusty paths. His children run to meet him, their faces bright. They touch his arms and ask for a story about the river. He tells them about the day's dives, in simple words. They laugh when he mimes holding his breath underwater. They hug him tight, and he feels proud to be their father. At home, his wife cooks a simple meal of rice and beans. They talk about bills and school fees. They know their money is tight. Tomorrow's work may bring more sand, but it won't bring more pay. Still, they are glad for today's wages. Without sand diving, they would have nothing. In the next village, a teacher named Marie watches a class of children. She reads from a book about rivers and sand. She points to pictures that show how rivers change shape when sand is taken away. The children gasp when they see a riverbank collapsing, sucking a house into the water. She tells them this can happen here too, if sand mining is not kept in check. Someone knocks on the door. It's the village chief, carrying papers from the district office. He calls a meeting for tomorrow. He wants to talk about water levels and river health. Some villagers hope he will ask the sand buyers to slow down. Others worry that without sand jobs, they will have no income at all. In the morning, the village gathers under a mango tree. The chief explains that the lake downstream is also drying up. Fishermen from another region came to warn him. They say the river that feeds the lake has been dug too deep. The lake's water level has fallen by 2 feet in 5 years. If this continues, the town will have no drinking water in the dry season. An engineer named Papa visits. He works for a group that studies rivers. He shows maps and graphs. He says sand mining must be limited. He suggests digging new wells and bringing water from elsewhere. He also talks about making sand on purpose, by crushing old concrete from building debris. He calls it artificial sand. He says it can be added to the mix for concrete, but builders must be trained to use it. The crowd listens and asks questions. Will this cost more? Where do we get the machines? How long will it last? Papa answers in simple words. He says it may cost more at first, but as more places use artificial sand, the price will drop. He says machine-made sand can be safer for rivers and beaches. He says governments need to pass rules to protect natural sand beds. Later that week, a pilot project starts. A small crusher is brought to the edge of town. It sits on a flat field near old ruins. Workers feed broken concrete into it. The machine crushes the rock into fine grains. They wash the grains and scoop them into bags. Marched by hand, they are carried to a small mixer with cement and water. They pour the mix into a mold. It looks almost like normal concrete. They let the test block set for a day, then they break it with a hammer. It holds strong. The villagers cheer. It gives them hope that their homes can still be built without digging the river dry. Meanwhile, in Cambodia, a woman named Srey Neth sits by her new shop. She sells sand from barges on the Tonle Sap River. She watches the water flow and prays the river will not shrink too fast. She heard from radio that trees are falling into the water because banks have collapsed. She worries for her neighbors whose houses sit too close to the edge. In India, near the Becky River, men dig sand by hand. They use long poles to stir the riverbed. They scoop the grains into baskets and heave them ashore. They sell sand to builders in a busy town, but the river is far shallower than it used to be. During the hot months, the river shrinks to muddy puddles. Then, the diggers work on dried earth, scooping dust instead of real sand. They can feel it in their lungs when they breathe. Across the globe, governments begin to act. Some ban sand mining in national parks and near protected forests. Some require permits for each truckload. Some set fines for illegal diggers. But laws are hard to enforce in remote areas. Often, police look the other way when bribes are paid. Environmental groups start campaigns. They make posters showing empty riverbeds and toppling homes. They use social media to share satellite images of giant pits in lakes. They call on people to demand change. They say each of us uses 10 kilos of sand every day, in the concrete under our floors, the roads we drive on, the glass in our windows, the silicon in our phones. They ask, what will we do when the sand runs out? Many people do not think about sand. It seems endless, just rock that washes down from mountains. It is easy to forget that it can vanish if we take too much. But children like those in Marie's class learn early. They know to plant trees along the banks, so roots can hold soil in place. They know to build sand pits in safe zones where small amounts can be taken without harm. In some cities, builders use recycled concrete from old buildings. They crush bricks and sidewalks into sand. They mix it with a bit of river sand to get the right texture. This urban sand becomes more common. It helps cities grow without spoiling the countryside. Engineers develop filters that can take tiny grains from the sea and wash out the salt. They call it marine sand. It can be used in some concrete mixes, but it needs new cement blends to avoid rusting steel inside walls. This research is expensive and slow to reach remote places. Back in Cameroon, Elvis and Jumbi dive again. This time, they are careful near the edges of the riverbank. They plant small stakes to mark where digging is safe. They avoid spots where tree roots show. They scoop only what they need each day. They dump the extra sand back into shallow pools, hoping it will help refill the riverbed. After their shift, they meet with the village chief. They report on the river levels and sand quality. The chief thanks them for helping protect the river. He writes a note to the district office, praising their care. Elvis looks at the sky and feels the warm breeze. He smiles, knowing he helped build homes, but also helped protect his river. He will keep diving. But now he knows the game can change. The real victory is finding balance between work and nature. He returns home to his family. They welcome him with bright eyes. He serves them a meal. He walks outside to fetch water from a clean spigot installed by a new well project. He thinks of the other towns that still have to dig. He hopes they will learn soon. In the end, sand may be the most mined resource on Earth, but the people who gather it must be its first protectors. Without them, our cities cannot rise. Without rivers, our fields cannot grow. The story of sand is the story of all of us. Builders, divers, farmers, and dreamers, searching for a solid ground beneath our feet.